If you want to know what it takes to create something out of nothing, look at your own life. Listen. There are two polarities operating in the universe, and I'm going to reduce them for the moment to the unmanifest and the manifest. You can also call it darkness into light. Every one of us is a living expression of what it takes to become a manifested form. And I would venture to say that every one of you knows how hard it is. How hard it is to be, to have a life, to make things happen, to realize your dreams. And even at the most basic, how hard it is to sustain yourself and perhaps those around you. There is no one here who doesn't understand what would happen if you stopped making an effort. Nobody. If you stop, the whole manifestation of your life starts to deteriorate very, very rapidly into something that probably is very fearsome to you. The unmanifest, to dissolve, to disappear, to go through the disintegration, in the best sense of that word, to disintegrate you into something that is no longer vibrant and alive. My guess is the fear of that is what drives your life more than anything else. The fear of not being, the fear of disintegration, the fear of letting go of the battle to be. Some of you are more ambitious in that regard. Some of you have big dreams, big goals, big things you're trying to attain. At least in your mind they're big, and maybe in the world's mind they're big. Some of you are happy just to get by, just to get a paycheck, just to put food on the table and to get through to the next day. Almost everyone wants some respite, some sense of money in the bank, something there that will protect you and give you a little bit of time to float, to relax. But we don't all get that. Almost nobody really gets that. A few people get that, and then they realize that it still doesn't remove from them the same fear. The same fear. They're still going to disintegrate if they don't do something, if they don't act in some way on their life, if they don't take this responsibility seriously. And we can all look around us, probably not that far, to see people who have abdicated this life experience, who've stopped trying, who in a sense become wards of society, or less, who live on the street, who have abandoned all hope of becoming something vital. Almost every one of us is sort of born into a package of coincidences a certain kind of body, male or female, with a certain advantage perhaps to the male form, at least that's how it's perceived. More power, more ability to get things done. Most women know that's not true, but it's still it's socially embedded in most of our consciousness. We are born into circumstances of a particular kind of genetic form, a body that is strong or weak. We have certain aspects of our life that give us advantages and give us disadvantages. We have talent or no talent. We have parents who love us or don't love us. We have all of this stuff, and it begins to become the building block of a very particular form, the form that's going to have your name to it. And that name is the name you are going to ride out until the end of your manifested experience. And every manifestation, as you know, ends up in unmanifested form. The fact that you know that doesn't seem to have much effect on most people, because even though we know at some point we die, we cease to be, there is this extraordinary urge to construct and create and to sustain this form that we are. The force that is doing that, the force that exists within us, is probably best referred to as life force. Life. This thing that's dynamically alive in us and that we are very, very afraid to lose. The idea of losing your life is at the core of everybody's drive. Anything but that. And it's remarkable how awful life circumstance can become, and people still want to hold on, except for the few who choose not to. And they tend to impact us in a very big way. The people who decide to let their lives go, there's a lot of scripture about how you shouldn't do that, how you shouldn't take your life. That this life force is so vibrant and vital, it only wants to keep moving and growing. And what's so powerful about it is how obstructed it is. That it is not ever really easy for any life form to manifest. When you think about the endless darkness of the universe and the pinpoints of light that exist and that give life in the darkness, that bring illumination to nothingness. When you think about these dark forces working very hard, it appears, to give birth to existence, to form. And we're told in scientific terms that this universe that we inhabit is 14 billion years old. And I think anybody who's lived a spiritual life or studied Tibetan Buddhism, which has a concept of kalpas, which are billions upon billions upon billions of manifestations of the universe, we know it's not just this 14 million years that's existence has occurred. It cannot be numbered, it cannot be quantified on any level. But assuming the scientific, it's been 14 billion years of incredible effort to create planets and planetoids and asteroids and bodies of water and things that live. We don't even know how often that's happened. We don't know. The only thing we know is it somehow made us. And it's been 14 billion years in the process of this, of our coming into this very room at this very moment, hearing this preacher talking to you about the fact that we're here, manifested in some remarkable way, and each one of us struggling to stay manifested. Because if we don't, darkness, blackness, blackout. So there's some extraordinary thing going on here. And I can't tell you what it is other than the fact that it is. I don't know how we came into this moment or into being. I can't find answers to even of the why or the how. But I know the fact of my being is very real to me. And our collective being, I know, is something we share in a very fundamental way. And I know that we are all caught in this remarkable manifested state. And none of us know how we got here or what to do with it exactly, other than eat, sleep, procreate, make money, and get famous, or whatever your particular drive is. And everyone knows that no matter what you make of this manifested state, it's totally impermanent. You know, it's at the core of Buddhist teaching, impermanence. And yet, we devote ourselves with every ounce of our energy into this impermanent manifestation. Whatever we create is going to get torn down. Whatever we give birth to is not going to live more than so many given years. It doesn't matter. It all comes back to the unmanifest. It all returns to darkness. Or does it? We can only guess at those answers. Life, in a way, for those who think about it, or who contemplate, or meditate, in a way, is a quiet search for, what is this? What is this? And the answers are abundant. People have answers all over the place. There are these huge religious movements which have the answer to what this is. And for people who buy into that answer, there's a sense of calm. Now that I have the answer. Not that you searched for it, not that you got the answer from anyone, you just believed somebody else's answer. Their truth worked for you. It was easy. If I believe this, I will be saved. There will be, however many virgins at the end of the road, or whatever it is you think you're going to get that's going to take care of all of your suffering. And you live a life, which is maybe okay. It gets you through. And I think, honestly, there's something wonderful about having somebody else's answer make your life a little bit more palatable. There are certain rules that are set out biblically for us, the Ten Commandments being the core. These are the rules. You exist. Do this, do this, do this. Just 10 rules, and you'll be okay. And that may be absolutely true. I've come in some ways to believe that it is true. Those 10 Commandments are pretty solid. And if you look at them and you listen to them and you obey them, as hard as it might appear to be in certain circumstances, you live that life and you will have a good life. But it doesn't get rid of, what is this? What is this? And this pursuit of an answer really dominates much of our life. Not every individual life, but certain thinkers, certain philosophers, certain people have been reaching and reaching and reaching for the answers. And those who break through to some big understanding, the Einsteins and the Buddhas and whoever else you want to give credit to, because there are a lot of individuals who kind of break through from the mass awareness. They go, they get like kind of out of the box of life, and they get a picture that they can bring back for all of us who aren't able to reach like that, and they help us understand this is how it works. They start to see what energy is. They start to see what matter is. They start to see the quantum physics of existence. And it's amazing that the more they see, the more answers there are, the more questions there are. And the question keeps coming down more and more and more to, but what is it? I mean, beyond why is it? What is it? What is this thing that's happening to us right at this moment? Again, not everybody is driven to know the answer to that. And it's seemingly okay. You just come into this world, you're given a certain agenda, get married, produce more offspring, perhaps, survive, be part of the search, maybe, or just find a nice quiet way to keep the manifestation going. You know, literally every blade of grass that comes up is manifesting. It's keeping this growing. Nobody's celebrating grass blade by blade by blade. It's just working.
Walt Whitman.
Well, Walt Whitman. Yes, thank you. Yes, that's what it takes. That's really what it takes. You know, the poet in us needs to see the wonder of each blade, and in even a bigger sense, the wonder of each of us. And what's really hard is, when you do see it, to realize that the wonder you see in each person around you is not seen by that person. You look at them, you look at people, and you go, oh, I mean, for me, sitting here with you guys, I look at you and I see something so remarkable. I feel so lucky to be in its presence, and I know much of the time you are not at all aware of it. You're here with the struggle, with the problem, with the difficulty, with the unhappiness, with all of the forces that go into being human. And they're great forces. It is really hard to be human. It's much harder than to be a blade of grass. I will tell you that. Although even blades of grass get squished, and and our gardener yesterday was trying to persuade us, and may have done so, to get rid of our grass because we can't water it anymore. We can't support it. But that's a whole other story. The human race is still, to this moment, supportable. We can still make it happen, but it has to happen through each one of us. It has to happen through our figuring out how to live. And right now, how to live is getting harder and harder. And I mean that, looking at the larger picture, we are starting to get a sense, some of us, that the forces arrayed against manifestation, or the forces within manifestation that are making it more complicated, are strong. The global warming idea, the drought that could conceivably alter every one of our lives here, maybe already happening. Our gardener said to me yesterday, because our water bill is beyond belief, and she said, your water bill's nothing compared to what it's going to be in a year or two. It's nothing. And she said that's the only way they're going to get people to change, is by really making it costly to be or to live in your comfort zone. And I think all of our comfort zones are about to get very disrupted. And we are going to experience what every force of nature experiences, that it is brutal out there. A word Rudy used a lot, and I used to fight, but now I don't. It's brutal. And what are your tools and your skills for being when the world is chopping you down all the time, or blocking and obstructing you? Well, one of the tools is to realize that you are not simply a manifested form. You are one of these remarkable entities that is both manifest and unmanifest at the same time. There is a part of you that is absolutely free of all of your manifested identity. There's a part of you that is a pure, unexpressed, vast reservoir of simple being. It's in you. It's residing in you. It is that from which you draw the energy that makes manifestation happen. It is a life force that has yet to express itself, that just exists. It's vast, it's powerful. It absolutely manifests you, and it manifests all there is, which means everything that has come into being, including the universe. Every form that is made comes from an unmade space that is within you. And all you have to do is drill backwards through the density of your own idea of self, to allow yourself to move into this place that will amaze you. Not that it's unrecognizable, because you feel it every day. When you wake up worried about how you're going to make your next paycheck, that's this unmanifested force working through you, trying to find a way through a universe that's obstructing you. And you're trying to find, how can I be happy in this? And how can I be satisfied? And how can I be successful? That's coming from somewhere that doesn't yet have form. But it's a very powerful driving force. And when you drill down into it, you start to discover you are not just this. This is temporary. This is impermanent. It is expressing itself for a period of time, and then time is dissolving and space is dissolving, and it's going back into what it always has been. And at some point, you will go on that journey, because that's how this works. Manifest, unmanifest. Manifest, unmanifest. And it's fine to just do that. But there's the possibility that in the manifestation, you're going to have a rough ride. And it's okay. You may have a beautiful ride. And every triumph in manifestation is beyond belief earned and full of wonder and joy. You know, the people who win the Olympics, the people who get a book published after 10 years, people get a movie made after God knows how many years of struggle. You get a sense of what it takes to arrive at something manifested. That's what it's about, to have it become real, to have it become there. But even that, just goes away. If you can begin to tap into the unmanifest in yourself, you begin to see, as I've described and scientists describe, what light is. Light is wave and particle. The particle delves down into itself and discovers it is a wave. It is a vast, infinite wave. And as you go into that, you find you are supported not by will and drive and ambition and all these ego-minded qualities. You are supported by life itself. Life energy. This unmanifested force of being that gives rise to all that there is. And it's what you are. This is not an idea. This is not conceptual way to say, oh, well, I guess I'm unmanifested or I'm everything there is. That won't do it. You have to know it. You have to go there. You don't have to do anything, let me put it that way. But if you do go there, if you do this work, what it does is it transforms the experience of manifestation. It transforms it. It takes away this ego-minded struggle, and it just makes you purely life energy and presence. It gives you this dynamic aspect that is life itself, and it will pour out of every pore of your body, out of your eyes, out of your mouth, out of your way of walking. It will fill you. It will fill you and touch people. You will be able to look at another person, and the life that you are will infect others. It will give birth to something rich and wonderful. It will make life much more beautiful and livable. It doesn't answer the question. It just brings the question into total focus. And you walk around going, what is this? What am I? What is this unbelievable force that's moving into nothingness and making this moment happen? And I have no answer. I can only tell you, the more I look, the more the answer eludes me, but it doesn't matter, because the question itself is the core of mystery. And the core of mystery is the most beautiful part of existence. The fact that we are at all is the great gift. I think it's a gift. It may be a punishment. So just don't everything I say that you might think of as true, I have to tell you, I don't know that it's true. And I've always said the truth is, and now I'm trying to reframe it as my truth is, because I don't know the truth. And I really do see a way to look at all this as being dark and horrible. But I look at you guys, and as I refer to it almost weekly, my granddaughter, and I go, if this is darkness and this is misery and this is hell and this is suffering, that I've had this moment of such exquisite, profound beauty. I had it in a marriage, I've had it in my children, I've had it in my grandchildren, I've had it as a teacher. I don't care if there's some dark force rushing at us and creating this as a kind of escape from God or whatever, some religions kind of imagine. I have no clue, but I do know that there is something that has come out of nothing, and I am that. And so are you. That's all I know. And I know you're struggling like mad to keep that going. And that thing which life is celebrates your struggle. It's grateful to you for the struggle. It's created the struggle. Those trees outside are struggling. They're not getting enough water. We're going to put in a drip system so they get water that doesn't have a lot of water that goes into the air. And that will help the trees. It will help the world around us. I turn off the water when I shave in the shower. I never used to do that. But that, I'm trying to find a way to deal with life as it manifests around us. I'm trying to find a way to be under the circumstances that life has thrown at us. I'm trying to help my kids who are in a world that is not the same world I was born into. That's what we do. That's what we do. We're here to help each other. And I'm here with a kind of message, I guess. I don't even want to be a messenger, honestly. I've said this a million times. I could spend Sundays doing a million other things than sitting and teaching a class. And as every one of you know, you've heard it all before. On the other hand, there's something about it manifesting in the moment that has life energy. And that life energy might actually get in there and do something. It might change a way of looking at it. It might move an obstacle out of the way. I try when I work with you to go into these little microscopic places of holding patterns that in many ways are really old, and I just try to break it down. I don't know how I do that. I don't know how it happens. It feels like it happens because a whoosh of energy occurs every time it does for me, and I go, wow, something broke finally. And it's a great gift to help reduce the obstacles. It's like my gardener, a fascinating woman, but she's trying to keep it alive, keep it going under the circumstances. How to make the garden grow. The end of Candide, Voltaire's great novel and the wonderful Leonard Bernstein musical. The final song is, make my garden grow. That it may come down to nothing more than that. Make your garden grow. What is your garden? It may be literally a garden. I have a dear friend we grew up together, and we've gone through all the dramas of life, and he just planted a garden in his life, and we're both retired, and he realizes that's all I'm doing is making the garden grow. And he's so happy doing that. And I never imagined in my middle years that I could ever be happy making a garden grow. I used to watch these guys in Greece when I was a kid, sitting around playing checkers all day long, drinking ouzo, eating squid, and playing checkers. I said, oh my God, what a life. What is that about? And now I look at it as being, it doesn't get better. You think you need all this stuff. But the great thing for me is I had a completely satisfying career. I got what I wanted. I struggled, and the universe helped me. The universe, and I have to say, this practice helped me, because this practice removes obstacles in many ways, and it helps you see how to move when the moving doesn't appear to be logical. It moves you this way, that way, up, down, around, and you just follow its voice. You follow its truth, and it takes you where it wants to go. Those of us stuck in our minds, we think, well, it has to be this way, it has to be that way, I have to go against it, and go, and you go, and you go. And I meet so many people who are stuck banging their head against the same thing over and over, and all they have to do is look the other way, and they say, oh, that way. And they go around the wall, but trying to communicate that's very hard. But for me, I got there, And the incredible thing about getting there is I'm now, past 70, and my whole career is basically over, and I look at it as what I call a resume in a file cabinet. That's all it is. If someone asked me, did you have a career, I could say, yeah, what have you done? I can pull out the resume or go to IMDb, but it's not my life. It's what I did. It's a past tense thing. And I am not that. I go to a wedding or a bar mitzvah and all they want to talk about is what are you writing and what movie. I don't have anything to talk about. I have no identity left for most people. It's like, why should we talk to him? He doesn't have a movie getting made. Well, that's fine for me. I mean, I would rather not talk to them. And in truth, it's so simple. It's come down to something so simple. And it may not be a garden for me, but it is helping my grandchildren grow. I go and I babysit, Blanche and I babysit 5-6 days a week just to help with the struggle. And, God knows there are women out there with more kids than that fighting to do it on their own with no grandparents. But Blanche and I like doing that. It's joy beyond joy. I mean, I can't even get to how wonderful it is. And our life is so simple. It's so simple. And the simpler it gets, the better it gets. But it is full. It's full of life. It's full of this dynamic rising energy. And it's rising in a body that's starting to fall apart. And so what's happening for me, and I see it with Talia too, I'm living on what I call the razor's edge between manifested and unmanifested. And I am deeply aware of both at exactly the same time. And if you want to have a poignant existence, understand at any given moment that this thing could end in a second. That's all. You just have to know that. And then you have joy and sadness cohabitating in a way that is what you call life. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. You don't get caught in one and then get angry at the other. You don't live in the idea that it's all leading towards some ultimate pure happiness, because it's not. It's leading to what it is. It's leading to this. That's kind of the only message I have left, and I've given it to you week by week. It doesn't lead to there. Life doesn't get you there. There is no there. It never existed. It cannot exist. Nothing you're looking for, as Eckhart Tolle said to a class I was in, nothing you're looking for is in the future. This is it. I know that makes no sense on some level, but the there you're trying to get to, you're in. And if you sit still enough in it, you will be blown away by it. You will just be knocked out. That the darkness and the light, that battle, which is biblical in our minds, is happening right this second, and you are on the cutting edge, the razor's edge of being and not being right now. That's where you live. You will always live there. You're never going to live anywhere else. And it is a phenomenal state to live in. I live with my granddaughter, and I see an old woman already. I see a woman with struggles and unhappiness and all this stuff. And I go, oh, God, I don't want her to go through it. But she's going to go through it. And I look at her, and she's so beautiful. And she's not going to stay beautiful, but she will always be beautiful, and that beauty arises from the very thing that made us into who we are. And I know that if we can get the right foundation, it builds a little bit of a stronger life, so I'm trying to help out with foundational issues. But in a way, what I'm doing with each of you, and what Rudy did with me, is he called it reparenting. He's trying to go back in and fix the things that our parents didn't do because they didn't know how to do it. And you just fix it. It doesn't take big fixes. You just reanimate the parental love. You give people a sense of stability. You give them a sense that there is a foundation beyond what the world offers that is much greater than what the world offers. You bring that into play, and people come into their life, re-enter their life daily, fresh and awake and available and powerful and ready to move on. And when they see the storm clouds gathering in their mind or in the world, they just go, okay, umbrella goes up, raincoat goes on, and they power through. That's what you do. Rudy gave me that ability. I am sharing that. That's all I'm doing, and I am not the only one out there. I get videos and YouTubes from so many people saying everything that I'm saying. I'm not a lone voice in the wilderness, you know. I'm just one of many, and there are many more coming. This is happening in a bigger and bigger way. And I would tell you, if you listen to me, you are the next wave. You're the next voice. You're the next life force feeding the planet. And I mean every one of you. Get past your issues. Get past the fact that your mother didn't love you, or whatever it was that took place, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. Be what you are now. It breaks through everything. It breaks through all the barriers. Life's amazing. You look at a what is it called for an oak tree? Acorn. You look at an acorn. It's hard to break through that with a hammer. But this little tendril inside just pushes and pushes and pushes, and it goes out, and it becomes this unbelievably great tree. How does it do that? Well, that same force is in you. There's no reason you can't become oak trees in your life. There is no reason. And it doesn't have to be an oak tree that anybody recognizes. There are billions of oak trees out there, and nobody is celebrating them. They're just doing their job. They're just being. They're adding to the beauty. They're adding to the energy of the atmosphere. They're adding to the oxygen. That's what you are. That's who you are. It's literally who you are. I don't want to see any quizzical expressions on your faces. I hate the but that comes up. I hate it. Yeah, but. There's no but. You just do this. You just do this and make the fight, do the struggle. Maybe your book will get published, Maybe your movie will get seen. Maybe it won't. But there's still so much stuff. There's such an amazing life to live. And in the end, it's over. And why finally come to appreciate it when it's over? Or why in the last 10 minutes of your life suddenly have a heart-opening experience? Why can you finally say I love you to somebody, on your deathbed when you didn't say it during their whole life? What is that about? What have you missed? And I know there's a click in your mind that goes, what have I done? What did I miss? You don't want that. You do not want that. You want to be the light now. You want to be it now. You are it now. Feel that. Dig deep. Go into this space inside you and just feel, oh my God, I am full of manifesting energy. I am this. Even if you wake up in the morning miserable, you got to have a cup of coffee and you read the newspaper and you hate it, even if life is in its mundane form is totally unsatisfying, it doesn't change what you are and who you are and how you can live, how you can make it different, if for yourself or society. You can take the whole big game if you want. But whatever it is, it's you doing it. And you have that force, you have the potential, and you kind of have maybe the obligation to do this. Although I think life in a way doesn't care, really. Life spits out a lot of seeds for the few that root, but you don't want to be one of those. You're already one of 2 million or whatever that, that came into the world. You were born. You impregnated the zygote. You made this. You won. You're here. Be this. Be responsible for that energy. It's so remarkable. It's so extraordinary, and it's so biblical. This is not just, oh God, another day. It just isn't that. And if you don't know that, fight for that. Fight to know it. The thing that's happened for me, and I still don't believe it, but I wake up with that. I used to wake up with it as a kid. I used to wake up and go, oh, another day. I woke up like that. I was so excited. And then for years I thought, oh God, how am I going to do this, And then suddenly at this age of 70, I'm waking up with, oh my God, another one. And it's thrilling. And I don't care what I do with it. I can read the New York Times for 2 hours. It doesn't matter. I can just sit and stare out the window. I can go for a walk, except for the plantar fasciitis or whatever it's called on my foot. There's so much I can do. And it's so amazing. You earn the right by being to be. Just be. Anyway, this is a trip switch I got to throw because otherwise I'll just talk forever. But get the message. Get the message. You're here, and it's a miracle. And I cannot tell you how you got here or why you got here, but the question itself is worth thinking about. It's worth considering, because whatever it is, it's not a mistake, it's not by chance, you are meant to be. Any questions? Oops.
You see so much in us that we don't see in ourselves. Do you see that in yourself?
I don't know. Probably through you, through other people. I think that's kind of how you see it. Interesting for me, I've discovered a number of people in life for whom I have become an enemy, or a villain, let's say. And I went, oh, I was so surprised that I was a villain in someone else's story. I did not expect that at all. I haven't worked at that. I don't tend to act in a villainous way. But I was perceived that way, and that's been very valuable to me. To go, wow, I see something else in me. Also, the deeper I go, the more a number of things happen. One of them is your mind, personality, egocentric self kind of goes by the wayside. You're no longer really measuring yourself through what you did or didn't do or could have done or should have done. All that kind of falls away on some level. What happens is a profound acceptance of the totality of you. Whatever that is, all the right, all the wrong, all the good, all the bad, you just go. Because you realize kind of you didn't do it exactly. I mean, you did. You're a participant in this creation of yourself, but it's another force that's working really strongly. And once you accept that you couldn't probably have done anything differently than you ever did, there's a huge level of acceptance. And that acceptance washes stuff away. And you're just like, you walk around. The phrase I use all the time is, thy will be done. You're constantly realizing you've never been anything but thy will. Even when you thought it was your will. It's always been thy will. It's something much bigger at work. And so you just live that life. And what I would love to be able to do is to rip out from every person their sense of, this is who I am and it's what I am and I'll defend to the death the right to be this. Because it's like, why? You're not that really. I mean, you are, but you're... The image used in Hindu teaching is, you're a light bulb in the face of the sun. What value does that light bulb have after, let go. The sun's taking care of the illumination of the world. You don't need to. It will fill you up, and you can be all illuminated and illuminate the world without being you. And your own individualized version of that is just your own story. And when that story goes away, you're free. You're just free of that whole thing. And most of us don't realize how much we don't want to be free, and how much we fight to hold on to our story, and our misery, and all the other stuff that we got going along with us. We fight to hold it because that's who we are. But when you realize that's not who you are that thing which brought everything into existence, what do you need your story for? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Really. But the ego mind does, and the ego mind is very strong, and it's part of manifestation. The ego mind is created for a reason, because that's what keeps it going. This world wouldn't exist without it. So it needs to be there, but the enlightened folk, people Buddha talked to about the middle way, they just start letting go of that, and that falls away. And then they're free, they're liberated, and they're living a life that allows you to tend to your garden and not worry so much. Of course, we'll always worry about bread on the table and breathing. That comes down to that. But I have to tell you, as you get older, you don't need quite as much bread on the table, but the breathing thing keeps working. And you'll fight for that to the last moment, and it has nothing to do with you, it has everything to do with the biology of you. But otherwise, just let it go. Or it will fall away. Anyone else?
Yeah, you talked about the why we're here question. I was reading John Mann's book, and Rudy said something like, perhaps this is a big reformatory planet.
Well, Rudy called it the Bellevue of the solar system.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Well,
What do you
yes,
think?
yes and no. I mean, Rudy had a lot of ways of looking at the world, and a lot of reasons for saying one thing after at any point in time. There is a way of looking at life as that. You know, I mean, there is definitely a way. I mean, I look at people around me and I go, the madness of people's lives. You know, what are they doing and why are they doing it? And there's no. It's just it's a sad condition, but the universe doesn't care. It really doesn't care. So, I mean, it cares only on some vague level. Life wants to be expressed. That's all I can tell you. And it will take advantage of every opportunity to express it in its own way, whatever that means, even diluted ways. And there's a lot of delusion out there, and it just keeps going. And whatever is meant to happen will happen. And interestingly enough, it happens not through the masses usually, but through individuals. And you can be that individual. You know, you're kind of a choice that's made. And again, anyone who shows up at a place like this has self-selected on some level. Not so much to be something, but to free themselves of the illusion. And then that helps to clarify in time what being means and what they can be. You know, and it's an extraordinary thing. And you know, if all the masses were going to be liberated, I mean, I don't know what that would mean. I mean, you know, there are teachers who think that's a goal. I have no idea, but we certainly are being processed here. There's a great learning process going on. There's an opportunity for everybody who comes into this layer of existence to learn something. And so here we are. Is it the Bellevue of the solar system? Could be. It could be second grade, you know. It could be second grade through ninth grade. I don't know what we are exactly, but I know there's a possibility of getting a PhD here, and there's a possibility of moving beyond all that. So here we are. Okay? Thank you, guys. We'll be back. Blanche and I will be back in a month, just around Christmas, the 21st, I think. And every month thereafter, we'll be back here for a weekend. And, you know, you're all welcome to come north if you want to do that. You know, Dan, I don't know how you've managed to go between them, but it's pretty incredible. And you know, we love you, and we'll be around. And there's class every week here, so feel free to come.